shagging.
Go on, carry on.
No. All off record. Piano, Ozzy Osbourne, the Ramones, chilling sofa, different part of the house. Just got back from doing some interviews with Andy Lee, Joseph Parker, Spencer Brown, and Frank um, in the last 24 hours. Big piece on Joseph Parker. Doesn't look like he's going to get the Daniel Dubois fight next. They might tread water. They might take the fight with. Frankie said he'd do it in a heartbeat. The winner of White and Joyce, but I think Joseph Parker might sit out. You know, he's mandatory for the WBO. He wants a world title next. I think he deserves one. But in the real politic of boxing, he's going to have to remain philosophical. I think because I think Usyk and Dubois looks like it'll go ahead in the first half of this year, or maybe just over the first half, maybe
As
July,
long,
June.
as long as they can guarantee Joseph Parker a shot straight away at the winner of that fight. I mean, I know he's been craving a shot and he deserves one next, but it's not the worst case scenario for Parker if
No,
that is the case.
but since when has boxing been genuinely a meritocracy? We've seen it over and over again, and obviously the undisputed trumps a single world title shot, a single world title belt on the line, and that is still a massive fight. Daniel Dubois against Alexander Usyk, and you know I think Joe's a little bit unfortunate. He did a number on Bacoli. We haven't spoken since then online. We've spoken personally, but not in terms of online recording. And listen, he gets better and better. 9 fights with Andy Lee, just the defeat to Joe Joyce, which was a little curveball in the rhythm of things, but. I like the look of Joe Joyce now. Like I like the look of Ajit Kabayel. I think if you take Tyson Fury out of the equation, you got Usyk 1, Dubois 2, Parker 3, Kabayel 4, and then Fabio Wardley still very dangerous in the top 10, and Martin Bacoli if he's in shape. What happens to Zhang? I don't know at the moment. Joshua, Tyson Fury, they meet each other. You know,
Don't forget
Herg,
Okoli.
Hergovic and Okolie. Yeah, but he's not a proven top 10 fighter in the division yet. Um, I'd love to see a Coley in against. I don't think it'll happen. A Coley and Wardley. Imagine.
No, they're not going to do that next, but yeah.
Well, a Coley was very close to fighting Parker, wasn't he? But
Yeah, he had his
I
bags
understand
packed.
that the powers that be chose Bacoli in the end. There was a massive spike in interest, Umar, in the broadcast, in the Telegraph blog, in the Talksport broadcast, when on Saturday night, and I'm sure on all the TV broadcasts, we were doing a watch along for Talksport. I'm sure there was a massive spike everywhere around Bacoli and Parker because there was a lot of interest in that still. And weirdly, the drop off then when Beterbiev and Bivol fight because they are purist fighters rather than crossover mainstream sports stars, which is a sad reflection on well, it's just the way the world is. If those two indulged in trash talk, they'd be massive stars, wouldn't they?
Let me give you a
As we've
slight,
seen this week with crushed
yeah,
eggs.
we'll come on to that. Let me give you a slight issue before we move on to Eubank Ben. So let's just say, if Daniel Dubois did go and stop Alexander Usyk, that would make it 1-1. I'm sure Usyk would want to get his revenge. There'd be plenty of money on the table for Daniel and Usyk to do a trilogy. That could even delay for sort of further delay Joseph Parker if they do a trilogy.
Well, yeah, look, you're just throwing it out there. Expect the unexpected. These things can happen, and maybe it's not that unexpected. Maybe there's a 25% chance he does knock out Usyk, who's 38 now and is not getting. It's ridiculous to say he's not getting any younger. Of course he's not. None of us gets any younger. But yeah, I mean it's not beyond the bounds, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was a third fight there, especially if it was a thrilling contest and he knocks him out in the 10th round and Usyk was ahead in the fight or whatever. So I still think Usyk's favourite going into that. It's still a fight I'm really looking forward to seeing. And like you say, Parker holds out then. He wants to be active. So maybe he does take a fight in the interim. He earned really well for the Bacoli fight. I can't disclose the actual sum, but I think he had a very good earning day. For a guy who was £310 coming in against him. He had to get rid of him, which he did. But he's not in a bad place at all, Joseph Parker.
Actually, one way they could solve that, and this is a big if they get a trilogy on, it's a big if Daniel Dubois beats Alexander Usyk. But if that does happen, the WBO title, they could say, contractually, you either have to vacate it or the winner might be stripped anyways. And Joseph Parker, the WBO interim title holder at the moment, is just upgraded straight away to world champion. That is one way they could do it.
I've never liked that
I
myself.
know, but that is a possible solution if they have a
Yeah,
trilogy.
it is a possible solution, and it's one of the workarounds that does happen, as I say, when these real politic events go on. That that needs must, and the biggest fight out there at the moment is Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. They fought before. There's controversy around it, so you understand why the power brokers in the sport would do that event next. Turkey Al Sheikh, Frank Warren, George Warren, and for Parker, he's not in a bad position at all. I mean, he's progressing all the time, and I quite like the. I mean, he might not like it. Andy Lee might not like it. Spencer Brown might not like it, but there's nothing wrong with him fighting the winner of Joyce and White, and I see him as a massive favourite in that. Maybe the sticking point would be if someone's trying to match him with Ajit Kabayel, but given that Spencer Brown manages both guys, I don't see it happening. Although it's a fantastic fight, it ought to be for a world title at some point.
Okay, so
Who'd you make favourite in that one then? I mean, it's a 52-48 that fight for me.
Which one, Parker Caballero?
Yeah.
You can't call it, can you?
It's a 50-50, isn't it? It's a brilliant fight. And let's hope we see that before the next kind of 18 months.
Okay, so out of the two press conferences, I guess the sort of the main highlights, Gareth, and you can answer it all in one go, was obviously the egg slap. Eubank kind of not letting or not wanting Eddie Hearn to speak. And also, Chris told Nigel that if you put your hands on me again, you won't be getting it back. So those were kind of the most picked up talking points, and the stuff about the rematch clause, rehydration clause. There was a lot to sort of dissect. How do you look back upon the 2 days now?
Let me add two things to that as well. Chris Eubank Jr. throwing it out there that 50,000 from his purse is going towards fighters that had camps for that first fight event at the O2 Arena in October 2022. God, that seems a long time ago. The world was very different then, wasn't it? 2.5 years ago. You were a mere nipper at that point. You were in a different iteration of your life. I think we all were. Also, him saying that he asked for a diabolical, I quote him, amount of money from Turkey Al Sheikh, and Turkey said done straight away, and then he was kicking himself he didn't ask for more. I'm guesstimating 10 million,
Is that a diabolical amount? I mean, it's a lot.
It's a huge amount of money. It's masses more than he will have ever earned before. And also, by the way, I think it allows Ring Magazine or Turkey Al Sheikh, whoever's actually putting them. I know it's the Ring Magazine event, so it's Turkey putting the money up, but I think he makes a profit because I think it'll do 1 million pay-per-view buys. At 25 quid in the UK, I think it'll do 1 million buys. It won't be big in America. It won't be big anywhere else, but it'll be big in the UK. And when you think they'll get 70,000 into Spurs, that's got to be worth 7 million, 10 million in gate receipts. So I think they make a profit. I think Turkey makes a profit out of it. I can't believe that Derek Chisora reckoned yesterday to me that, and we were all guesstimating. He was a guest on the TalkSport pod with me. He reckons 20 million he asked for. I know, but I would say 10 million versus 8 million, something like that. I don't know, but that's my guesstimates. And also we talk about people's money. We bandy these big sums around. We don't know. But maybe it will come out in the end. Look, all those points you raised and the ones I just raised were fascinating. 2 10-8 rounds, I'm calling it, for Chris Eubank. I'm also on record as saying, I will continue to say this, it was a disgrace he smashed him with an egg. But look what it did, 6,000 headlines around the world, 3 days of people talking about it, mainstream news, accelerated the fight. Eggy Hearn complaining about it. but Eggy Hearn deep down quite happy about it. Eggy Hearn nearly beating up Ben Shalom in the process.
I
You know,
forgot about that.
all the drama. I mean, Ben even joking afterwards. Ben Shalom even joking that maybe he and Eddie should have a fight. You know, and I think he was very tongue-in-cheek about that. A lot of drama over the 48 hours or 72 hours. I thought Chris Eubank came across as cool, calm, considered, calculated, and very articulate. Talking down Eddie Hearn, as you say all the time, not allowing Eddie to do what Eddie does brilliantly, which is to dominate press conferences with his own verbosity and brilliance. Eubank was stuck to his guns. I loved the security check by Brendan Lyon on Chris, the egg check with the security wand. That was quite a lot of fun.
Gareth, you just said it was a disgrace. So, in your opinion,
Yeah.
should he be fined by the board, and how much?
Yeah, he will get fined. I reckon it'll be 25 grand.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to see that Conor Benn, one of the other things to come out of it, glad to see that if it is the case, I think it's been confirmed. I was chatting to someone about it earlier. I was waiting for the confirmation. It was being teased up yesterday that Conor Benn will fight under a Boxing Board of Control licence, which actually puts the case to bed, because once he's got the licence back, unless there's an appeal, some kind of abnormal appeal, which I don't think there's precedence for at this stage, that they can reappeal or go to jury over it with, say, Court of Arbitration and Sport. I think once they've given him the licence back, they've accepted that the panel hearings are right and that Conor Benn moves on with his career. I think that washes out a lot of filth. Filth isn't the right word. It washes out all the detriment or the detritus that is still lying there, the sediment that's lying there from 2.5 years of legalese. And many court rulings. I know some of the things in the background. I'm party to some of them, but I won't talk about them publicly because I'll let the parties do that when it comes to it. I'm pleased for Conor Benn, but I think he's become the villain of the piece now, weirdly, even though Chris is the guy that cracked the egg and scrambled it all over Conor's face. I liked the passion that Conor showed Umar for his father, showed what a bloodline fight is. Don't you speak to my old man like that. Up he rose yesterday, neck proud and tattooed, against Chris Eubank, who was threatening his old man, his 60-year-old old man who said he could handle himself anyway, who'd grabbed the neck of Chris Eubank. I mean, the drama this week, it's been extraordinary. You've been to lots of press conferences now in your very young but decorated career. That felt huge yesterday at Spurs, didn't it? I don't know if you made it to Manchester. I didn't, and I know
I didn't go, but it's given me kind of Hey Bellew vibes, if that makes sense.
It's given me Hey Chisora vibes. It's given me yes Hey Bellew vibes. I agree with that. That there's an animosity and enmity where they're talking about bloodbaths and returning to the 9-round war that their fathers had back in 1990. Who's fooling who, as it was called at the time? Yeah, who's fooling who? Because we didn't know who was the ascendant man at that time. You know, I thought Nigel Benn won the second fight, even though it was a split draw. You know, it's got everything. All it hasn't got is two guys in the same weight division. So that's where the debate begins. You know, the sensible money, the sensible options are on Chris Eubank Jr. because he is a naturally much bigger man and he's been able to campaign with 12-stone fighters with ease. Conor is a big welterweight, but not a giant welterweight. So there's so much to be taken away from the Camille Zarameta fight that Chris was in last. And he looked a little bit weather-worn in that fight, got caught a few too many times, even though he dropped the Polish fighter, I think it was 4 times in the bout. Conor's got a lot of tensile strength and anger. Look how he held off those 4 20-stone men on Tuesday at the press conference. So there's a lot of debate. Conor will be dangerous early. He'll be dangerous late if it goes into a grueling affair. Chris goes quiet sometimes in the middle rounds of fights. If there's enough debate there to make it absolutely fascinating. The missing piece right now, where's Senior? We want Eubank Sr. in the piece. We want him giving us his beauty and articulacy and his poetry, and he would just add to the whole event. I hope he gets involved.
On that note, Gareth, thank you very much for your time this lunchtime, and I shall see you soon. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye, Umar. Cheers.